this conversation, as our panelists settle in, karibu sana, thank you, we are also going to, at some point, ask some of you to interact with them. So once I've had a conversation with them, brace yourselves and be ready. You'll have a chance to also speak to them. That's the spirit of this summit, is it's interactive and we get to share with each other in real time. But for now, it's an absolute pleasure and honor to be with both of you, Dr. Riria, Dr. Ezekwesili. And just as we have continued in the spirit of everything we're doing, you can begin with either a poem, a song, a quote. We can start with you, Dr. Riria, and then we'll go to you, Dr. Ezekwesili. I think you should have the microphone with you. Okay. She is going to give us, I know earlier when we were speaking, she mentioned a song. She mentioned a song. Before you open your mouth, are we allowed to join in, or we just give you a moment to enjoy the song? Okay. To begin, thank you so much. In a moment, Dr. Riria, definitely want to ask you, your inspiration behind that choice of song. But Dr. Ezekwesili, it's your turn now to just ground us in something that, in something that is powerful and meaningful to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also a song.
Mm-hmm. It's on. It's okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Excellent. So it's also a song. As a matter of fact, it's a song that my generation knew growing up. As young people. It's by Whitney Houston. Mm. And I use it actually to train policymakers because it's about children. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be, and so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, At least I'll live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me.
Oh. Yes.
It matters for
Yeah.
me. It matters because when you think of it, the whole lack of empathy in the way that governance happens on our continent is the worst exemplification of what is broken. That's why our dear Mandiba, President Mandela, said, you can tell the state of a society in the way it treats its children. So when I am raising Africa's new political and public leaders, I'm getting them to reflect and to think of the children. That's where it starts from. If we have broken children, we're going to have broken young people. If we have broken young people, we're going to have broken politicians and broken public servants.
Right.
And we're going to have shifty businesses.
Okay. That's such an important conversation. I don't know that we often kind of tie in what happens when you have a broken children and how it feeds into a broken society. And just as you have the mic, just before we come to Dr. Riria, I wanted to ask you, because you really are essentially building people in politics and really shaping the next legacy of people in politics, and you've seen power from every angle. We read your incredible intro. What is the one thing you know about power that most women are not told before they enter politics?
I think they are not told that a lot of the people they will encounter are as vacuous about what should be done as anything you can imagine. And so the women arrive into the spaces thinking they are the ones without the knowledge, when in fact, they could be the most brilliant on the team. But you see, it is the case that the imposter syndrome immediately says to the woman, I haven't been on this path before, and so I am the novice here. And so what you often see is women begin to genuflect for everybody, as in, this is Oga, so we have to worship Oga. When in fact, by not allowing anybody to take their dignity, the whole room immediately knows to be careful. You need to not carry any sheep on your shoulder, but your dignity should be very evident, because you know that you have not arrived by having to bow. You didn't bow on your values. You didn't bow on your knowledge. You didn't bow on your capabilities. So why is it that you feel the necessity to bow in order to be accepted? Keep your dignity, and those who need to bow will bow.
Wow. And show up fully as yourself. Thank you. Dr. Riria, first, I know you'll just briefly tell us why that song was important to you. And then for you, it's also talking about the, wealth and money, something that we're talking about a lot in this room. Very briefly, why was that important to you, the song that you were singing along to?
I wrote that song. I wrote the lyrics, and one of our, international singers, Emi Koske, sang the song. put the song into play. Now, the simple question that I wanted to pose to the world, and that song has traveled on YouTube everywhere. The song is called Mama. Mama means mother. It was to ask the world, what would the world be without a woman? That is the song. Because the woman is everything. And what it takes for a mother to do what she has to do is resilience, determination, focus, and moving forward. So that's what the whole song is about. And it was to bring consciousness of the value of woman in all situations in the world, not only Kenya, Africa, and everywhere.
Thank you for that. What a flex. She's like, casually, I wrote this song. Casual. Thank you. I have some context I want to build around what I'd like to ask you. You've disbursed over $1.3 billion in loans to more than 900,000 women. You know better than almost anyone what it takes for capital to actually reach women and what stops it. So in your very honest words, why has so little of that capital ever found its way to women who want to run for office, and what would it take to change that?
Before I answer that question, let me say how emotional I am today. For that 5 years, we have been walking this walk and talking this talk. Today, I see realization of what was begun in 1975 during the very first conference, UN conference on women in Mexico. I'm emotional because I see young women here. 4 generations was said. It means the work has not been in vain. Yeah. We have worked hard and long. The work is not in vain. Nala, thank you very much for bringing this to fruition. Your question is very important. In 1975, as I said, some women met in Mexico, courtesy of UN, the first conference of women by UN. Those women sat together, and one woman, the first president and founder of Women's World Banking, which I chaired for 22 years, 6 of them as the chair, asked a simple question, made a simple statement in that conference. And she said, women must and should own their own banking accounts. That began the single movement of attempts to include women, financial inclusion. Since then, we have come far. Collective responsibility of women institutions led by Women's World Banking, including my own Eco Network Africa Foundation, began a movement and made a decision in 2018 that by 2018, we should have reached 100 million women with financial services in the world, not in Kenya only. In Kenya, we contributed 3 million to those numbers. We actually, by 1918, we did achieve the targets. And we even surpassed them because we included men. In Kenya today, women 15 years and above have a bank account or are using mobile banking, internet banking, M-Pesa banking. Men, 94%. So you see there's still a difference. However, globally, we have a serious problem. 700 million women are still unbanked. So yes, we are doing well. We are doing well in Kenya. We are doing well elsewhere. But in the world, we still have a problem, meaning there is need for collective responsibility to move on. How did we get to do this? Let me give you a quick story about Kenya because it's important. How did we do this? When I took over desire to try and get women included in financial inclusion, only 14% of women were able to access formal financial services. As I've said, we are now at almost 100%. The numbers for 2026 show that we are almost at par with our male counterparts. However, getting there was not easy. I remember in 1991, I walked into a bank trying to get a loan to lend on to women because women were still doing businesses. Don't be cheated by anyone. But they got money either from their fathers, their husbands, or they didn't have their own money. That's why they were at 14%. So I walked into this bank and I told this banker man, and I met him later in another bank. I said, I just need 1 million Kenya shillings to begin lending to women so that we can destroy the myth that women cannot handle money. Because that was the myth. He looked at me and said, Jennifer, do you really want women with their baskets on their backs to come and crowd my counters? I cried. I walked into the streets and I cried. And I walked into the next bank because there was no financing that could be allowed for women. So when I walked into that other bank, the manager looked at me, to a young man, and said, Mama, why are you crying? I wasn't a mama those days, I was a young woman. He called me Mama. Why are you crying? I said, somebody abused me across the road. He told me that a woman cannot handle money. He said, okay, we have a product here, but what you're going to do, you're going to prepare those women and bring them to us to lend.
Okay.
I said, no, we want to prepare them, lend to them. When they can borrow, we will then bring them. But the idea I had was, no, we'll never bring them. Keep talking. So in 2 weeks, we were able to organize, and I got $2 million. A check which is still on my wall as a picture in my
as a reminder.
Today.
That's amazing. I just want to make sure that we invite other folks to engage with you.
Yes.
But you can maybe sum up the...
Okay.
Yeah.
So, to be able to get a woman to be included in the formal financial system, you need to prepare them. You need to have an institution in place that supports them, an institution that speaks women, that understand women's businesses. If you don't do that, what happens is they are trodden upon as they move on. That is one. Two, there's need to have sensitive governments in place. We need to create sensitive governments that believe in women, whether in politics, whether in financing, because they don't believe a woman can lead. Even today, the woman who have broken the ceiling, like Her Excellency, she will tell you the same story. The problem is the world does not believe a woman can lead, that a woman can be a billionaire. And we have women billionaires, and we have women billionaires being created here. That's one. So institutions that support women's and create women's confidence, women's visibility, women's knowledge and disseminate that knowledge of success must be in place.
Understanding women fully. Thank you so much for even drawing that history and bringing it to what you're saying, something that's still needed today.
Yeah.
Again, in about 2 minutes or so, we'll be inviting some of you to take this seat and engage our esteemed panelists. For Dr. Ezekwesili, this summit is asking women with capital to back women in politics deliberately, financially, and politically. But solidarity between wealth and power has historically been transactional and extractive. How can we change that for women on our continent?
I think that we haven't spent sufficient time to arbitrate the relationship between capital and money, capital and power. Yeah. Because what has happened, and I saw it in my country and I did something about it, the women in business are off doing their thing. The women in the polity, in politics and public leadership are just doing their thing. So these silos are so entrenched and never meeting. And, so the benefit of getting older is that a lot of younger people become your, your own, right? So, and I knew the ones in the business side, and then I also have the ones on the public leadership and advocacy side. And one particular event happened, and the ones in the advocacy, politics, and public leadership side were just really pulling their hair because they were angry at something that the ones in business had done. And they were just speaking about it within their own cocoon. And I simply said, I called the ones on the business side and I said, I'm going to be dropping you into the forum of these other people. And they came into that group and they had that conversation and subsequently never left. So the wall between the politics and the business group of women collapsed in that instant of a problem that needed to be solved. We need to have a very well-defined approach for bringing that nexus between the political and the business, the money and the politics. And it takes organizing. I believe that the reason that NALAFEM is talking about this is because it will develop a program that will begin to do that canvas mapping. Mm-hmm. So for some of your fellows, they are during their internship, during their leadership program with you, you just give them the assignment. Find all the political advocacy groups of women, find all the business groups of women. We're going to organize initially the conversation around when money meets power in the hands of women, right? Because such an approach is scientific. You're no longer just hoping that somehow two people will meet and hit it off. The kind of barrier that access to money is for women's power is so deep and entrenched for it to be based on accidental initiatives. We have to remember something that a good friend of mine in the United States said to me, nothing happens that is not made to happen. Mm-hmm. So this connecting the two walls by breaking down the barriers will be important. But I will give you the mic after I have said that there is even deeper distrust between women with money and women who are trying to run for office. There's a deeper distrust that happens. So that has to be taken on board upfront, because the conversation then becomes I have my money. Why do I want to empower you to become a big shot? It always kind of is the elephant in the room in that conversation. So what then must happen is that in designing the program, you need to have all the data that shows to the women with the money, or the women with the money, the power, the collective power of ensuring that the issues that matter to businesses that women do will make it to the top of the agenda. And there will be no one better. So you've got to give them an incentive to want to, put their weight behind that, agenda.
Thank you for speaking to that and even touching on that discomfort and tension, because I think we need to, right? I think we do. We must. Thank you. I'm going to now, I don't want to be the only one. I could stay here all day. I think we all could. This is a masterclass, right? But I think I'd like to invite one or two of you to just take the seat. You can come. Just give us your name and share your question or thoughts or comments with the panelists. I know that time is flying. Try your best to just make sure that you can make room for the rest. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm just interested in sharing a thought from a political perspective. I'm Winnie Kiza, former member of parliament in the Republic of Uganda and former leader of the opposition in that country. You know what it means to be a woman in the opposition, most especially in countries like mine. And when we are talking about the saying by Nelson Mandela Madiba, that you can know the health or the state of a nation by the way it treats its children, I just want to substitute the one of children with women. You can know the state of a nation by the way it treats its women. As we speak right now, one of our formidable women, the Honorable Dr. Miriam Matembe, is in court. She was abducted from her house, disappeared for 7 days. Yesterday she appeared in court and was told that her bail application can only be heard today. I'm not so sure whether the bail will be granted. This is a woman of character, a woman of ethical leadership, a former minister of ethics and integrity, a woman who was a member of the Constituent Assembly, a woman that we have all looked on to. She has mentored and nurtured all of us. 73 years old. That's the woman I'm talking about right now. As I speak to you, my sisters, I would like to thank NALAFEM for ensuring that young people are in these conversations. Because when I was putting a shot at politics, I had no opportunity to be in rooms like this. Maybe I would have been better than I am now if I had gotten that opportunity. But then I just would like to say that many women are interested in leadership. The only problem that the women face is resources. So it's not really just having the money in the hands of women, but they need money mobilized by women, governed by women, used by women on feminist principles to advance women's power. And I'm glad that we are here today to speak about power meeting capital. How I wish that these engagements continue to happen so that the next generation of African women leaders does not suffer. And this question is not just an NALAFEM Summit topic for feminist wealth and ethical leadership. It's a survival question for the next generation of the African women who are seeking for political office. And I believe that today, in this room, we have the power, we have the capacity, and we must resolve to ensure that we identify women, encourage them to run, but also resource them, follow them up before they run, during the time of campaign, and after the campaign.
Thank you.
Ensuring that we sustain their finance, their campaigns, protect them during campaigns, and also after campaigns, because violence against women is now becoming an issue that we all need to deal with. I know that time is not on our side. And I want to say thank you for availing yourselves. And thank you, NALAFEM.
Thank you. And I know Dr. Riria and Dr. Ezekwesili will reflect on that as I've seen a young girl who wants to engage as well. Thank you so much, Winnie, for sharing your thoughts so passionately. Would you like to give a brief reflection as we invite our next speaker?
I think I want to share the fact that what my sister from Uganda is saying is real. We have recognized it in Kenya. We have it in Kenya. What we have done is that we have established an institution to be able to give women an opportunity, first of all, to do two things. It's called Democracy Trust Fund. We need a fund that women can recognize, that women can control, and it can answer the need of women when they come to elections. Because what happens is women do not have even money to pay for fee for them to get to the chamas, to get to the political parties. At that point in time, they are knocking on everyone's door, borrowing some money. So we say to the women, don't do that. Let's help you put some money together, your own money, because you are focused on being a leader. Save a little bit. And at that point in time, your organization, which is Democracy Trust Fund, will take care of your funds, invest them for you, make sure you don't use them for buying sukuma. And at the point of elections, we will look for other money to maybe double what you have saved. So that is going on right now.
Thank you very much for that.
So my name is Vivian. I'm 14 years old, and I'm a girl advocate. Across Africa, many girls still face big challenges. Millions of girls don't even attend school. Millions of girls are married off before they turn 18. Since this year's theme is Power Meets Capital when women back women, my question is, how can women leaders make sure girls don't have to wait until they grow up to have an opportunity? What can you do today to give girls a chance to lead, make decisions, and receive support to turn their ideas into a practical solution?
That's a very good question. Did you want to answer? I thought I should. Okay. All right then. So I think that number one, we start with even the women who have daughters at home and who don't realize that the first boardroom of their daughters is the home. So a girl who is given the right opportunities to make a decision at home. Do you have siblings?
Yes.
How many?
One.
Okay. You see, your power to persuade your sibling to do something, is it a he or a she? He. That is even more interesting. Your power to persuade him to do a particular thing that is the right thing to do is already a skill that you're going to need in the boardroom by the time you become a member of board. Your power to collaborate with him to solve problems in that home is already the opportunity given to you. So first, it is to get the mothers to understanding that your girl is not waltzing through life. You're using that moment of her growing up as the incubation for her expression of leadership skills. So we turn the table on the idea that the girl is the one left to do everything. They must understand how to do division of labor, and yet also understand how they are using those opportunities to raise the child, that's a girl, into a space of leadership. The second thing is that our advocacy for girls being in school and girls delaying marriage, because that's what evidence shows, through being in school, that advocacy has to be not occasionally. It has to be a permanent advocacy. The reason that it has to be permanent is because if it is occasional, many will fall through the cracks when we're not sustaining it. So how do we make it a permanent advocacy? We need to make sure that we're coupling that advocacy of girls going to school in the place of the birth of girls, in the places where marriages are being consummated. We need to have advocates who are members of NALAFEM, whose business is what marriage is happening anywhere in Nairobi in the next couple of weeks. We need to have one of us who is attending and get an opportunity to talk about girls' education, because we must convert all the spaces that are available for that advocacy, especially in the rural communities. The middle class don't need you to advocate for girls to go to school. It is already the ones who are excluded that suffer the double jeopardy of that. And the third part of it is the advocacy that is directed at the government, making it mandatory for all children to go to school, period. And in particular cases where girls are behind, to have a catch-up program that enables them to go to school. The fourth one is when we ask more women to be in the teaching profession, we need to resource those women. Because when women who are teachers are resourced and the girls see them in the classroom, what do you think happens? Modeling. Mm-hmm. They begin to think, I can be this. Right. And that changes the equation for that young woman. Okay. And then, of course, your final thing is find your fellow girls and learn how to collaborate with them already. But you're already a girls advocate, so I shouldn't be telling you that. You're already collaborating, and I'm so proud of you that you're doing that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Vivian. You can come. We just have one more. I saw somebody really waving like that. Vivian, thank you. Yes, you can come and, again, just get this opportunity to speak to our two panelists. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Dandara, and I'm talking from Brazil. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you a lot, NALAFEM, for the opportunity. So I'm part of Institute Update, a Latin American organization that works with women in politics, and we recently did a research, Africanas Mapping, with 79 initiatives from Africa that supports women in politics. And we have learned what this summit is talking about, that women have been backing women since the beginning of times. And this is true in Africa, but also in Latin America. So I'd like to ask you a little bit about South-South solidarity and how can we do that, because in Latin America and in Africa, women are building similar tools of democratic innovation. So my question is, what South-South solidarity would look like as infrastructure, and what would it take to achieve this goal? And also, If, from your own experience, what would you talk to the next generation of girls from the Global South working together? Any advice you have for us? Thank you.
My experience. When I began working with women here in Kenya to develop the financial inclusion model, you will be shocked that I came to Latin America. I came to Dominican Republic to see Mercedes Canalda, because she had begun a microfinance institution there that resonated with what I wanted to do. So when I came to visit her, the first thing she did was to take me to the women, and I learned the ropes. And I came back here. So two things. There is need for institutions to, I'm an institutional builder. I believe in the power of institutions. People don't just do things. People organize around institutions that resonate with what they want to do. And that's why I came to Latin America. We have to make efforts to identify institutions in the South that work with us, that do things that we do, and we reach out to each other. And this has to be purposeful, because if you don't do that, whom are you learning from? That is one. Then we need to encourage the development of institutions that give women a voice. Because women's voice must not be a Kenyan voice. It should be a South voice. I should be speaking from Nairobi, and you are picking it up from Latin America, and it's traveling around the world as a voice for women. NALA is trying very hard to do that. And I think that's another thing we need to do. Coordinate our messaging as women, addressing the issues that affect us as women, with institutions that have the power to call for change. We don't have a choice. That's what we have to do. I'm glad Nara is doing exactly that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gertrude. Jennifer, my goodness. You know why I called you Gertrude? Because we were talking about the UN women and all of that, and our dear sister Gertrude, from Tanzania, who had been at the center of a lot of that move. But thank you. So I think that number one thing, in addition to what my dear sister has said, is actually the person-to-person that happens when you come to an event like this. So before you head back to Brazil, I want it to be that there are at least 10 women attending this conference that you will be connected to, okay? Because that immediately lands you into networks that they individually represent, and that unlocks amazing capacity of leverage. That's one. Number two is that there are many global organizations that do things related to South-South collaboration. So there are existing systems of that collaboration, but we don't bring them together into an agglomeration so that it becomes a really big tent. Your generation of women are better served than us because you belong to social networks that are they cross borders easily. You need to do what I call your partnership canvas. So find those kinds of organizations that are already in some way connected to the idea of South-South collaboration, and find ways to bring them even more together. And then number three is that when you look at what's currently happening around AI revolution, for example, that you find that as an entry point and say, where are the AI advocacies happening? How do we get into them and use that as a basis to reach out to our African sisters who also would be interested in that topic? That's already a very serious, significant agenda that moves forward. And specifically on politics, I think that the experience of the Brazilian women in politics is as important for us as our own experiences are important for them. So, next year's NALAFEM, what you should do is find at least 4 of your women political leaders and tell them, I am making sure that you come to Africa for NALAFEM, because they're these great young women. They also bring their own generation of women. It would be good for you to be there, because you can then get the South-South collaboration going. You start with Brazil, and it spreads to other countries in the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Incredible. We must continue to...
Janet,
yes.
There's because I wanted to make sure that we would start from a note of what this amazing topic. I don't know how you guys choose your topic, but when I saw it this year, I really said, these girls are brilliant. When we say, when we talk about feminist wealth, we being able to really properly understand the conversation is necessary so that we don't pigeonhole ourselves too badly. So when you think of it as, a situation where women have a structural command of resources sufficient enough to confer agency on them, meaning the capacity to act on an issue in the economy or the polity, because they have such sufficient command of resources. Okay. So immediately we think of it that way. The fact that we're trying to get women where their money can speak, can make decisions around the economy, make decisions around the polity, including supporting their fellow women to run for office or any other thing. It then begins a further conversation as to what are the structural barriers that now need to be removed in order for us to gain the currency of such sufficiency. And that then takes you to many layers of conversation, including the brilliant work that our sister has done through financial inclusion. But it also includes many policy-related issues that women are not paying attention to at the moment, but they must pay attention to, because that's the only way you remove barriers.
Yeah, the approach has to be multifaceted and intentional. Thank you. I know so many of us wanted to interact. Hopefully, in the course of this forum, you'll get a chance to interact with these incredible patrons. There's something really special that's going to happen now very briefly. First, we'll invite them to pledge. And you all have pouches, which means throughout the course of this summit, your pledge, your commitment on how to move this conversation beyond the room is going to happen. But for now, we'd like to invite you to do that pledge, and then you will officially declare the summit open before we are able to take a short break and come back. So Dr. Jennifer Riria, Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili, I think you have your pledges. You can officially make that happen as we all witness it. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, read it out loud. Read your pledge out loud. I think you have that microphone. Yeah.
So it says that I, Obiageli Oby Ezekwesili, endorse Africa Young Women Beijing Plus 25 Manifesto. Of course, it has all the demands. And I am grateful to have been backed by these women, my family, I said my mom, and then politician, I said President Joyce Banda. When I ran for office, she publicly said, and also President Salif Johnson, by the way, yeah, they publicly asked that people should vote for me. Yeah. And then in business, Yetunde Ogunshola, who is now late, she unlocked the women in Lagos with resources, including the one who is sitting right left to my side, Aisha Yusufu. She was a major part of my campaign when I ran for office. I commit from the 5th NALAFEM Summit 2026 to back other women, including, I wrote here, women political leadership development, that I would, through the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance, by the next decade, I should be able to have between 5,000 to 10,000 of women who would have been trained in the knowledge of politics, policy, and governance. And they would be the finest breed of political leaders ever. Not in Africa, as in ever. So help me God.
Thank you so much.
Before I read this pledge, because I take it very, very seriously, let me just give one simple advice to the young people in this room. Include men in our fight. Include men in our fight. This fight for where women want to be will not be won by women alone. It is the entire society. Let's find ways and means of involving men. And I will leave it there and I will read my pledge now. I, Dr. Jennifer Riria, endorse Africa Young Women Beijing +25 Manifesto. I'm grateful to have been backed by these women in my family. My late mother, Beatrice Kabori Riria, and a politician whom I'm going to ask all of you to humble ourselves and stand, give her 1 minute silence. Phoebe Asio from Kenya, please. 1 minute. Thank you very much. Phoebe Asio passed on recently, and she was the first woman to take the issues of women to parliament in this country. So she was my mentor. When I began the Democracy Trust Fund, the one that is supporting women's savings in this area and creating the institution, she held my hand. 2018, we developed the first document with Phoebe Asio. It's now an institution on its own. I honor her. Phoebe Asio and many others, that is politician, is Phoebe Asio for me, and she lives on. For Business Women's World Banking, it is an institution, it's a network of institutions working with women, pushing for women in over 35 countries in the world, making major, and that for me was my grounding. I commit from 5th NALAFEM Summit 2026 to back other women, as I've always done, including young women, through the Jennifer Riria Foundation, my own foundation. So help me God.
Thank you so much. Right, we have to declare this summit open. Yes, you put the pledges in here. Dr. Ezekwesili and Dr. Riria. You can fold them and put them in here. Yes, you can put it inside there. Soon we'll also be asking for a group photo, so please hold in the room just before we leave. And now it's my honor to give you both. You can hold the gavel and officially mark the summit open on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Thank you both so much for your leadership and for everything you do. I think we're now going to, oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our media team is going to guide us on the photo. Riria and Dr. Ezekwesili, if you could please stay on stage just for the photo op. Just before then, do we have Zainab Nasser to guide us in the pause and play? If Zainab